All right. Today is July 12th, 2023. My name is Tori Otten. I am the Assistant Archivist of the Warren County Record Center and Archives. We are here for the Warren County Oral History Program, and I am here today with my peers who will introduce themselves.
I am Jacob Stickle. I'm the Archival Specialist at the Warren County.
My name is Jen Haney-Conover. I am the Director of Records and Archives here at Warren County.
Thank you very much, and we will have our guest introduce herself.
Sure. I'm Tiffany Zindel. I'm the Warren County Administrator.
Welcome. Thank you for participating today. So getting a bit into your background, you've already said your name, so when and where were you born?
I was born in Dayton, Ohio in the summer of 1966.
Where did you grow up, and tell us a little bit about your life?
Sure. So I grew up here in Lebanon from about the age of 5 until I currently live in Lebanon. So I'm a lifelong Warren County resident. Went to Lebanon High School, graduated from Lebanon High School. Lived in the country, so we had lots of activities and country life.
Have you lived anywhere else besides Lebanon?
Briefly in Hamilton, Ohio, for roughly about a year. The rest has been in Warren County.
Very nice.
What jobs did you have prior to Warren County, and tell us a little bit about your education background?
Growing up, my very first job was at Dairy Queen on Columbus Avenue. Great job, I have to say. Like most Warren County teens, I also worked at Kings Island for, I think it was about 3 summers. I graduated from Lebanon High School. I attended the Ohio University. So that's briefly my background. And then I should go on and say, so when I came home from OU, I actually went to work for the Western Star. And I was what they termed back then a bookkeeper. Now, we call them accounting type positions. And then I started working for Warren County in 1986.
So how did you end up here?
My aunt worked for the then Clerk of Courts, Paul Harrison. She told me, so back then the Clerk of Courts was actually located in the old County Administration Building on Silver Street before it went out to, she worked for Titles, before it went out to Dave Drive where it is now. And she told me that the Commissioner's office, which was then located in that building, had a position for an entry-level secretarial type position, and did I have any interest? And I did. So I applied, and I was hired.
So you've already spoken a bit about this, but which departments did you specifically work for? Any of them at Warren County?
Sure. So my entire career, I've worked for the commissioners. In the commissioner's office, that's where I started. And then the administrative arm of the commissioner's office, which you may know as the Office of Management and Budget. But they really truly are part of the commissioner's office itself. So those are the only 2 departments I've worked for my entire career.
And you said you started in
1986.
Okay.
So, knowing a bit about your background, you started off in OMB, correct? Like that was
I actually started off in the commissioner's office
So
as a secretarial. They called it a clerk typist. I think back then, and then we've changed job titles as your department has many times, and it was Secretary 1 or something like that. I'm not sure what they've changed it to. Not long after I started working for the commissioners, in probably like 1994 or 5. The commissioners created the Office of Management Budget, so it was not a department until then. All the functions that the Office of Management Budget handle were previously truly in the commissioner's office. We handled those all under the county, the clerk, to the board at that point in time. When they created the Office of Management Budget, Then I kind of went over into that division of the commissioner's office, and I stayed there between, I'm going to say it was like 1994 we started the Office of Management Budget, and I became the Deputy County Administrator in 2012.
Okay.
And came back to the commissioner's side of the house. So I was the Deputy County Administrator for 4 years before becoming the County Administrator in 2016. And I've been obviously in that position since then.
So, obviously you've already said that at some point you were working in the old Silver Street Administration Building.
Yes.
So, once OMB was established, what locations has that department existed in?
So the Office of Management Budget has always been with the Commissioner's office. So in the Silver Street building, the commissioners were in the basement of that building. When they established the Office of Management Budget, we just merely moved across the hall, directly in relationship to the commissioner's office. Moved here, and the offices are co-located as well.
Okay. I don't think I realized where you guys were actually located within that building.
In the basement of that building.
Somewhat associated, do you recall what other offices were in the administration building at the time?
Sure. So the auditor, treasurer, and recorder have always been together. That was super important when we designed this building, that they remain together because they work so closely together. The Regional Planning Commission was also in that building. The Data Processing Department was in that building, as well as the Clerk of Courts. So those were the main offices in that building.
That is a lot of you in one building.
Well, you have to remember, we were very small at that point in time, with a population, I think, of around 113,000 compared to the 241,000 we're at now. So, yeah, the functions were much smaller in scale.
So, going a bit further into your varying tasks, what were some of the daily tasks and duties you had at the very beginning of your career when you were commissioner's clerk, per se?
So the main tasks that I did that were quite time consuming, and your office is now the recipients of those records, we had to journalize the actions of the commission that the commissioners took via resolutions. So the first, I'm going to say 2 years, were spent actually typing those journals that you now house, resolution by resolution. That was my main task back then, as well as assisting the clerk to the commissioners and answering phones and doing those types of duties. So once those were journalized, I also got into the budget process at that point in time. Probably, I'm going to say 1989 was when we became more technology focused with our first computers and fax machines coming on board. So then I started to get familiar with that and assisting in the budget process. So then that became a focus.
So because of your focus on the budgeting, is that partially how then you became involved in the Office of Management Budget?
It is. So once the Office of Management Budget was created, I was promoted to Fiscal Purchasing Officer. So that was my first job in the management process, where it was an actual function versus just everybody taking care of those types of things. So fiscal purchasing was, we managed all of the purchasing. We made sure all the rules and regulations were followed, much the way we do today. It's just more streamlined with technology. It was all paper back then. We would review every voucher that the Board of County Commissioners approved. So we would go through those as well to ensure that we would audit them. We assisted departments with bid projects, making sure their technical specifications were accurate, receiving the bids, etc. And then I also assisted the director of OMB with the budget process, more in-depthly than previously. So it became more about managing the processes, the paperwork, those kind of things.
Right. So Am I mistaken, or did you then move on to become more management position of OMB as well?
I did. So prior to becoming the actual director of OMB, I was a personnel officer. I had done benefits. I was a benefits specialist, I think was what it was called. So I had those other roles that I had knowledge of. In 1996, my predecessor, who I will tell you was absolutely instrumental in my success with Warren County, Margie Clary, it's Margie Dunn now, she believed in me and gave me the opportunities to expand my knowledge and continue to grow. She ended up leaving the county, and at that point in time, the Board of Commissioners asked me if I would be the director of OMB. Having various knowledge of the entire operation, they promoted me to that position. So that's how I became the director of OMB.
Then how did the transition go to become the deputy administrator?
So when the commissioners created a deputy county administrator, my predecessor, Dave Gully, had indicated that he was only, he was going to retire in a certain amount of time. And so it was kind of the grooming process of who's going to be the next county administrator. I didn't really have, I don't know, it wasn't really a goal to be the county administrator. Dave had tremendous faith in me. Dave, he definitely hyped me up to the commissioners and was part of the reason why I'm sitting here today is through Dave's faith in my abilities. But the difference between the director of OMB or director of financial operations and the deputy county administrator's position didn't really change that much. I was still focused on the budget. As every department, kind of the center of the operation is the finances. So that continued to be a focus. That's an important function of the county deputy county administrator, and the county administrator is to have a handle on the financial status of the county. So I had that background and had been doing it for many years. So I just kind of continued that into my role as deputy county administrator. And then, you threw in some of the interactions more with different types of policy issues. Maybe it was, I didn't deal with building and zoning or the operations of the water and sewer department and their projects, or some of the functions that I just really hadn't been involved with other than the financial aspect. So that's kind of the difference, but they mainly overlapped.
Yeah.
So
then what would today look like for your daily tasks as the county administrator?
Well, we like to joke that, as the county administrator, I don't really have a work product. We spend a lot of our time taking calls from the public, addressing maybe issues that a resident has with the department that's under the Board of County Commissioners' control. And sometimes they call us about other elected offices that we have no control of, and we have to kind of assist them on where to go. And then, we would typically focus on, it's very situational, I would say. Someone has a problem, even a department, or, is it a financial problem? How do I address this? And just answering those questions. Sometimes we have projects that we're dealing on, that the commissioners have tasked, or it's their vision that they want to implement. So we work on those. So it's very fluid, would be the word I would use.
How has your roles changed as the county's population has grown?
My role has changed. I don't know that the role has changed, because I think that we've always had a focus on fiscal health.
Sure.
So my role really hasn't changed in terms of that and how we attack that. Just the numbers are bigger.
Yeah.
I would say, I actually looked back in preparation for this interview. In 1987, the first budget that I was actually involved with, the general fund budget was $11.1 million. In 2023, the annual general fund budget was $86 million.
Oh.
So that's a 675% increase in 37 years, or not quite 37 years, but so it's just the numbers are larger, I'll say.
Well, in that regard, is this a comparable growth rate to surrounding counties, or is it truly that Warren County has always been fiscally responsible?
In terms of the budget numbers, I don't really look at it as comparable to what other counties in terms of the budget size, because our county commissioners have always been, every board that I've served under have always been fiscally conservative, very, keep the tax rate low. In fact, the late 90s, early 2000s, that Board of Commissioners rolled back property taxes for a period of about 7 years. Are the taxes, the taxes that the commissioners would collect. The other levy type taxes would be collected. Our county commissioners in 2022 did the same thing. They rolled it back and enacted a tax holiday, very similar to what the previous board did. But we've always been the second or third largest or fastest growing county in the state of Ohio, as far back as I can remember.
That's amazing. So I've learned a lot about all of your different roles, but what would you view as something people wouldn't know? Like, what's something different about, say, the O&B side of it?
The O&B side is very employee focused. So those are the functions of HR, employee benefits. Those touch all of our county employees, as well as workers' compensation, liability insurance. So those are all very employee focused. I'm not sure that they get as much attention as they probably should, because they are very, very important tasks that can sometimes be challenging to administer. So I'm not, I don't know that there's anything unknown.
Then what about the county administration side? Anything that people wouldn't know that you're the person doing it?
Like behind the scenes that you do that maybe other people may not recognize, that you're the ones kind of putting that together?
Well, I look at my function as the commissioners set the vision and the goals, and it's just my job to carry those out and see them through. So I'm really, I think I've mentioned before that I'm a really behind the scenes person, and I just take those tasks and those visions and move them forward.
Definitely an important task. So you've spoken a bit about your public interaction, but have you noticed a difference between how much you would interact with the public now versus,
Sure.
say, 11 years ago when you started as a county administrator?
Sure. And there's really no difference in terms of the last however many years. Well, I've been the county administrator for 7, so I'll go to that perspective. In the Office of Management and Budget, that's employee centric. So you deal with employees. In terms of the general public, it's much greater just by the tasks that we do in the commissioner's office, from rezoning requests or water and sewer issues who touch all of our citizens. So the interaction there is much greater than it was in the Office of Management Budget. We, under the Board of County Commissioners, are the Children's Services Department, as well as Human Services. Those obviously bring with it a number of clients, and sometimes they have issues and they want them addressed maybe some different way than what staff has maybe provided them the answer. So they'll come to us to go further up to see if it can be resolved there. So it's much greater. It's that situational, phone calls and those types of things. It's much greater as the county administrator.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the experience like for you being the first county administrator? And do you think there were challenges that you might have had that your predecessors may not have had?
So I'm actually the fourth county administrator. And people like to say the first female county administrator. And I will tell you, I have not given that any thought. It never crossed my mind. I didn't do the jobs that I've done or been promoted to the jobs because I've been thought of as, she, female, or any preference given because I was a female. So I really haven't, I've not been cognizant of any firsts or being treated differently. I think that I've developed relationships with elected officials and departments and agencies through my interactions with budget and bidding and those kind of things. And I think I've been well respected for my ability to assist in those areas. So I don't really think anybody here or outside has paid much attention to the fact that I'm the first female county administrator.
Sure. So obviously you've done a great amount of things during your 37-year career. Have there been any memorable projects that you got to help with over the years?
Sure. So I would say we've done several. This campus did not look like it does today. And I've been a part of several construction projects here on this campus. We built what I call the new old jail addition that's here on this campus that's no longer in use, as well as the probate juvenile court building. We built the Justice Drive office building. All of those I will say we paid cash for, saving the taxpayers millions of dollars in interest, keeping taxes low. And that was done by being conservative fiscally and saving for those projects. So the commissioners have always been very good about putting back, establishing projects, putting funds back in order to accomplish that. I would say one of the biggest ever projects has been the new sheriff's office and jail here on this campus. That's one that I'm very proud to have been a part of. I always said that I would stay until it was completed, and then I would retire. So it's been in operation about a year, and at the end of this year, I'm going to retire.
You have already mentioned some managers that have made an impact. What other coworkers and managers over the last 37 years have made an impact on you, and who are they and why?
Yeah, so I mentioned Margie, who I would say was the largest or greatest impact on me and where I'm at today. She, allowed me to do tasks and learn from those tasks, put me in a position to be the go-to person, as I said, in 1996 when she left. Having all those different experiences allowed me to then take over the office management budget. Dave Gully, another great person that assisted me along the way and allowed me to take on things and achieve and give me guidance. All the Board of County Commissioners. I mean, they're each individually different, but they all have the same focus of being fiscally conservative and doing the right thing. I've worked with some wonderful department heads. I have wonderful department heads right now in the various departments that definitely make my job easy. So, we do have a great employees that, they've all touched me in different ways. So I've been blessed that way.
That is wonderful. I'm very glad that you've been surrounded by great people.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the broader category of Warren County in general,
Mm-hmm.
what have been some of your highlights during your time with Warren County?
Well, I think I already mentioned the projects and how we paid cash for those projects. On the last project we did, the sheriff's office and jail, we did something new for us. We don't normally increase taxes, but we did increase the sales tax by 0.25% for 5 years, and we were able to pay for that building with cash in those 5 years, and then we removed the sales tax. So that's probably one of the the biggest project and funding stream and forward thinking. As many of you know, tourism is the #1 industry in Warren County. So the majority of the people that come here are the ones that are paying our sales tax. I think at one point in time they said it was 60% of the people that live outside of Warren County pay our sales tax. So if you think of it in a way that 60% of outside residents paid for our jail, without taxing all the actual property owners. Because, if you do it on your property tax, you do a levy or something like that, that impacts every property owner. So we were able to do that with limited impact on our residents.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were the biggest changes that you dealt with versus when you started here compared to now?
So I would say technology. Technology has been the biggest. I like to tell the story that when I first started, we didn't have any technology. We didn't have a fax machine. We did have a copier. It was very limited in function. But when we got a fax machine, it was like Christmas. That really changed how we operated. And then the next jump was into computers. Our first computer, I think it was 87 or 88, and it was a box that had a flip down keyboard. I think it was made by Compaq. Very bulky, very not easily to maneuver. That was the second biggest change, and since then, it's been boundless. The use of email, that dramatically changed the way we function. Most recently, it's the county auditor's office and paperless accounting and payroll system. Those are some really big highlights of how it's dramatically changed in function and efficiency since I've been here.
So, along with technology being an amazing growth during your time frame, has anything significant happened within the county government? Obviously, we already talked about projects, but like any big, like world events or community events, that sort of thing?
World events in terms of?
One that people who we found have been here since prior to 2000, 9/11 is very significant, and they can remember sometimes the specific location they were at.
I can remember 9/11. That was actually what I was going to say. So when 9/11 happened, it was on a Tuesday morning. We have commissioners meetings on Tuesday mornings. They usually begin at 9 o'clock. And Commissioner South had a small TV in her office, and someone had called and said something was going on. So we stood around that little small TV and watched the actual second attack on the other building. So that probably worldwide was the most significant thing that I can remember ever happening here, and remember, distinctly where we were at.
Unfortunate, but it's very interesting
unfortunate
to hear
Yes.
how that's made such a strong memory in everybody from
Yes.
that time frame.
Yeah, when we interviewed Tina earlier today, she almost verbatim had.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
there you go. Yeah, because she would have been there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have been there as well.
So what are some of the most important things you have learned while working here?
I think probably the most important thing that I've learned is to try to listen to issues that are going on, try to see all points of view. While every decision doesn't make everyone happy, I think that it's important to have that level of understanding and to try to be able to convey if a specific decision is not the decision that maybe someone wants. Try to assist them in understanding, why the decision was made and what factors were taken into account. But it's really to try to have a more well-rounded view of whatever the issues are.
What will you miss the most about working at the
Absolutely, the people.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I think I'll miss just the daily interactions with people. While I'm a behind-the-scenes person, I do like to understand maybe more on a personal level, kids, dogs, cats, those kind of things of the employees and those individuals that I work with. I will just miss that daily interaction.
Do you have any plans for when you are done at the end of this year?
I don't have any immediate plans. I have a granddaughter who will be 2 in October, so I'm hoping to get to spend a little more time with her. But other than that, nope, we're just going to wait and see what the next days bring.
Sounds amazing. So, our last question, what advice would you give to current and future Warren County employees?
Sure. So I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. The one piece of advice that I would give is do any and every task that you're given, regardless of whether you're being paid for it or not, because you never know when that new skill or knowledge will make the difference in whether you get promoted or not. I would also say, as employees were to maybe be promoted and grow where they have people under them, to never expect somebody to do something you wouldn't do yourself. I've never been one to be thought a task was beneath me, even as the county administrator. I don't find it beneath me to answer a phone if someone's away from their desk, or if someone were to ask me, we don't do it now, but if someone were to ask me to file something or take the mail to the mail room, I don't find those tasks beneath me. So I would say never find a task that you think is beneath you or you wouldn't do yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. So on that note, that is our last question. So we would like to thank you so much for participating today, and we congratulate you on your upcoming retirement. And on that note, we will conclude the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.